Without further ado, great stuff going on Birds 365. I can't wait for our pre- and post-game show on Sunday. Guys, they do a great job. Zander's got a ton of merch he gives away. Great content, too, on Birds 365. Without further ado, our dear friend, Big C, Zander Krause joins us. How you doing, Z?
What's up, Big Sills? How you doing, brother?
All good, man. I mean, what do you really feel on Sunday this is a blowout?
I mean, I was a little joking at the start of the show when we were going. I know. Know what I love about you, though? I mean, we're going live. There's 8 seconds until we go live, right? And I rattle off. I always either try and rattle off something to give Cilio something to put in the head before
he gets going.
And I go, Birds by 20, and I drop off. And this guy's using it for a 30-minute segment at the start of the show. But nah, Sills, I really feel like this game is simple, man. I feel like big guys beat up little guys. You tell me that more than anybody else. And I don't think they got the horses to slow down this offensive line and this running back. So this is a trench game for me. This is not the game for Jalen Hurts to come out and say, is this what you wanted to see? I don't care about passing numbers. I'm telling you now, just run on this Rams team. I do not think they can stop it. And then you're also going to be able to control the clock that way and keep Stafford off the field. I do think Stafford's going to be good for some points in this game. He's going to throw the ball well. He's going to move the ball down the field. I would expect our defense to give up give up some points, maybe 20 points, somewhere in that range. But I do feel really good about where the team is going into this game. I don't really think, unless there's an anomaly type of a playoff game where the Eagles just don't look like they've looked for the last 12 weeks when we're 10 or 11-1 in that time. Unless they don't look like that and the Rams somehow added 50 pounds per defensive lineman, I don't see it.
The only way they keep him in it is if there's a ton of attempts and passes. There's no reason for it. The formula that they have right now, if they go in there with 21 attempts, 14 to 21, 135, the kid goes for 50 yards rushing, and Barkley goes for 165 or north of that, you beat them maybe 24-7.
Right.
There's no reason. That's why I wanted to show people. People are like this, 275 yards, 20 or 28. That's not the formula. That has not been your formula all year. Why would you come out of that to give the Rams an opportunity at 3 and outs? You need Zander. The argument that I have about his passing game is moot. You don't give a shit about that right now.
Well, certainly for this game. Yeah,
you don't care about that right
this game
now.
Definitely not. Like you talk, I mean, if we're analyzing, let's just zoom ahead for a week and say we win this weekend. I know we can't look past it yet, but when you're playing the Lions, I'm not going to sit here and say, okay, just run with Saquon all day. I think Jalen Hurts is going to have to make plays in that game. But for this game with the Rams team, I mean, they got a pretty good secondary, actually. You know, they make plays in that secondary. You mentioned Cam Kitchens. He's a rookie. He's a really good-looking rookie, the way he plays plays the game of football. He doesn't play like a rookie at all. They got good players back there. So I think you just kill them where they can't match up with you. You know, run it down their throat until if they prove they can stop you, all right. Well, you know, figure out have a contingency plan. But I do not believe that they're going to be able to do that. Now, it was interesting. Sean McVay kind of spoke this week, and John McMullen wrote a piece on SI.com about it. You know, McVay kind of used that Eagles game in Week 12 as a galvanizing point, if you will, for his team, where he kind of said, you're either going to let this define you and this is the team you're going to be, or you're going to, look within and where you can get better and become better from this. And I will say, the Rams started off this season super slow, and they have really come on strong. They're a much different football team. I want to say they're 10-3 in their last 13, and I think it's even better if you look at like their last 8. I want to say
take the last game out, they're 10-2.
Yeah, right. So they're a good team. They're playing well right now, and Matthew Stafford's obviously great. I'm more in your boat where I respect the hell out of Sean McVay. I think to be 38 years old and to have the accomplishments that you have. That's hard to do, man. That doesn't happen in the ranks of the NFL coaching world. So it's clearly impressive what he's done. And I don't take them lightly. I really don't. People say, oh, Zander's expecting a blow. He's taking the Rams lightly. I'm not. I actually respect the team. I just think this is one of those games where it's simple. It's simple. Run it down their throat, and they're not going to be able to stop you. And when they can't stop you, this game probably will look like the prototypical Eagle game has all year, where you manage the clock for most of the game. You get out to an early lead. The Rams are never able to fully, bring the big game within, and a couple late runs by Saquon Barkley gives you a comfortable cushion, and you win the game. It might be ugly. It might not look super pretty like some of the other games do, but I think you should be able to manage this Rams team pretty easily.
Let me ask you something here. And again, I appreciated you asking John about this, because when you were talking to him about McVay, I'm like, he's 38 years old. He's won 80 games. He has an 8-4 record in the postseason.
Right.
He's won 2 conference titles and a Super Bowl. I know he got beat by Belichick, and I know Vic's done a nice job on him, but okay. I mean, that resume speaks for itself, though. There's really nobody in football outside of him, and maybe John Harbaugh or somebody like that, or Tomlin. Tomlin doesn't even have – he has as many wins as Tomlin already, and he's not 40.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I mean, Nick is 43. This guy has these amazing accomplishments.
How old was he when he became the head coach? 33? 30?
Like 30-something years old.
Holy shit. Is that what it was? Was it that? I guess he's been there for a while. I mean, he's right.
38.
Super Bowls. He's had Goff and Stafford. Holy
shit. He's 38 years old. I mean, he's been there 8 years.
Right. I think he was 30.
He got the head coaching job when he was 30 years old. I think 32.
30 years old. 2 weeks shy of his 31st birthday, he got hired. Yeah. So he was 30 years old. That's
there were players on the team. There was a goof. There were players on the team older than him when he took that head coaching job over.
Yeah.
He's got 4 multiple double-digit win seasons. Now, look, Kevin Demoff and Les Snead have done a nice job putting that roster together, but that's a lot of him in that building and what he's done there with that and what he's done with those quarterbacks. I mean,
you're
Jared
right.
Goff looked like a bust when Jeff Fisher had him. All of a sudden, he turns him into an NFC championship quarterback.
No,
30
right.
years old.
There's no doubt. There's no doubt. Look, you're right. And maybe the one thing that scares you a little bit, I don't know, for the people who maybe think the NFL is fixed a little bit, you got the Rams and the Lions, potentially Stafford and Goff coming in for an NFC title game. Although I think the other storyline's even better of Jaden versus Jalen. If that happened in the NFC title game, that would be wild too.
There's also one that you've missed. You know what it is? Who are the last coaches surviving from the 2021 cycle?
Sirianni
and Dan Campbell.
Dan Campbell, duh.
Those 2 guys were the last 2 coaches remaining.
Who is
for the 21 cycle of coaches being hired?
I take it you like Dan Campbell more than Sirianni, right?
I believe him more.
Yeah, I do too.
I just he comes off. How about this? Let's be fair to Nick. I think there's more restrictions on Nick in the Eagle organization than there is on Dan. I think Dan's able to be more himself in front of the microphone, in front of his team. I think where Nick is more himself? Post game in the locker room when he's talking to his players and he's in there, he seems more comfortable when he's talking to his players in the locker room, when he's in there talking to those guys. But when he's in front of a mic, he looks like it's more orchestrated by Bob Lane.
Well, yeah, he's
giving him more what to say. I just think it looks more orchestrated.
Yeah, but I was thinking about that a little bit, and obviously, without being in the room, it would be more fun to have a coach like Campbell where you can hear what he's thinking and stuff, and it gives you it unscripted. But don't you? I mean, if you're a player in that locker room, in the Eagles locker room, I mean, don't you kind of like the way Sirianni is with the media? Like, he doesn't air anything out to the public. He doesn't air any dirty laundry. He acts like everything's all good inside the building. He doesn't throw anybody under the bus. Like, I'm not trying to put him on a pedestal or whatever, but I do think that's, as a leader, as somebody who is managing a group of professionals who have writers and beat reporters and people like us talking about everything that happens all day, every day. And you got guys like AJ, Jalen, Brandon Graham, all these different components. I kind of respect Nick's ability to to almost be a politician at the mic. Because look, we'd love for the reporters to get a lot, right? But if you were in his shoes, wouldn't you be like, fuck you, reporters. Fuck you, Dan Cilia. Fuck you, Zander Krause. I don't want you to know shit about my team. You can speculate all you want. You're never going to know what goes on behind these doors because that's our sandbox.
I would be more that way.
Right?
Yeah.
What's that?
I'd be more that. That's how I would.
I respect Nick's ability, I think, to do that. I think he does that pretty well. And he takes the blame away from a lot of shit. And I think the organization likes him because he's become a lightning rod where they can just kind of push blame on him. I mean, even the offensive struggles. I mean, the team can't pass the ball well, and we still have people commenting to me it's Nick's offense. Like, come on, guys. It's not. It's not at all. But look, that's kind of what he's provided to you. So I look, Nick is starting to grow on me. Now, I read a piece today, and maybe I'm a little slanted today because Jeff McClain wrote a really good piece. It's old school journalism It's a little.
Was it in quotes?
It's a little glazy. No, it wasn't Jeff McClain. It was Tim McManus. Sorry, Tim McManus from ESPN. It was a little glazy of the Eagles, so you probably wouldn't like it too much. But he does give some interesting backstories where players really like this dude, like Jordan Mailata. One of the stories that stuck out and got some headway was the Jordan Mailata story. So Jordan Mailata, and I didn't know this, by the way. Jordan Mailata's father, obviously he's an Aussie guy. He suffered a heart attack on the plane ride home from the 22 Super Bowl that the Eagles played in and lost. I did not know that. Now, Jordan tells a story to Tim about how amazing Nick was at helping Jordan through that, giving him a place to vent, to talk, to said you can take time off, whatever you need to do, however I can help you. And I'm not saying that helps you win game on a football field, but I do think it helps you create camaraderie and a team and a culture where people will play for you. People, that's a big part of being a coach in the NFL is these are grown professionals, man. Motivating them like college, it doesn't work the same. These guys are motivated by paychecks and different things as grown men, professionals with families, with lives. And I think Nick does a pretty good job at it. I'll give him credit for it.
I'll make this point to you that a guy who has complete autonomy can make that call right there. When a guy's talking about his dad being ill, giving him time, I think that's just being a decent dude. I think the Eagles do a nice job at being caring for their players. I think that's Jeffrey Lurie, too. I don't just think that's Nick. I think the organization cares for the players that they have in the locker room. So I think that's bled down from ownership because I do think the owner cares about his guys. I think they've got a lot vested in these guys. And by the way, for the record, I'm not saying it's not genuine, and I'm not saying Nick's not genuine, but I think Howie really loves his guys. Howie constantly is talking about his guys. And by the way, Nick constantly brings up Howie in every single – I have now counted 9 consecutive – and this is when I started keeping count – 9 consecutive press conferences that it goes without a doubt. Nick is always going to bring up Howie for bringing the guys in and the type of guys in that we want to have playing here in Philadelphia. Right. It is a priority for him to make sure. And by the way, it's political, like John wrote. It's really great Sirianni politics in how he does it. I'm not saying it's not genuine, but I pretty much think the organization, I think that they care about their players. Now, the point that I make that the players, and this is why I think they play for him, I think the players in the locker room know how hard it is that they make it on him to be him, that it is almost impossible to get out of the way, especially what happened in 23, how they parachuted in, made a fire on Desai, made a move in how they were talking about getting in the way of Brian Johnson. They know how hard it is for Nick to be a head coach in that Philly building, that they play for him. And I'm going to make a point to you on what players used to tell me about Bill Walsh. Bill Walsh used to scream at his assistant coaches so much, not the players. You son of a bitch, I told you to teach that kid. Those players would take that on themselves. Randy Cross has said it, that they were wanting to defend their coach so much because the organization was on and Bill was on their coach so much, like McKintrick, the old line coach, he would rip him a new one. that the players felt entitled to want to play for him. And I think that is something in the locker room that those players see, that how hard it is. They're coaching him. Bob Lang's coaching him. You could see Bob Lang coaching those press conferences. That's a hard thing, not to be yourself 24/7. Nick and Dan's talking about eating kneecaps and shit.
I know. And you can tell he's got nobody telling him that he can't say certain stuff. Nick's in a little different boat. And I don't, as much as it's goofy and as much as it's fun to rag on, can we really blame Nick for that? You know what I mean? Like he's at the mercy of the people.
No, he's at the mercy of the
hire. Yeah. I mean, and if that's how they want to be, like I said, I do think there's some good traits of it too, where potentially your guys feel insulated in terms of they know that their coach isn't going to say something. Now, if you're a bad defensive player and you're Bryce Hufflepuff, maybe Vic Fangio will throw you under the bus a little bit, but that's a different story. So, Nick's, look, like I said, Nick's growing on me. There's moments where I hate Nick. There's moments where I love Nick. And there's moments where I'm just like, what the fuck is this guy's deal? He's not my number one preferred head coaching candidate, but he's an Italian asshole, and he's our Italian asshole, and he's a winning asshole.
I thought I was your Italian asshole.
Wait a minute. You're number one in everybody's book here that's on their list of Italian a-holes. But maybe you, Big Dom, and then Nick. All right.
Hey, but here's the problem you have with what you're saying. Aren't these swings too high like this? Don't you want an even-keeled head coach? The highs aren't too high, and the lows aren't too low. Nick goes like this. He teeters like this.
Yeah, but Campbell does too.
Campbell, but it's contrived in Philly.
Well,
because he's controlled.
That's a result of people who wear their emotion on their sleeves. And there's no doubt about what you're saying, that there's pros and there's cons to it. There's no doubt about that.
Remember what I tell you, Zander? Remember what I tell you? My biggest asset that I have is my passion, and my biggest faults are my passion.
It's also the thing that's gotten you into trouble. Actually, you're the best example of this possible. You know what I'm talking about here. And
exactly.
So I do think there's good and there's bad there. I don't know though. Like, you look at a guy like Tomlin, okay? And I view Tomlin as kind of what you just talked about, the guy who's steady Eddie, right? I don't know. Is there a reason maybe that the guys who are a little bit, more willing to be open with some of that stuff right now are having more success in the modern NFL? Remember, you have a different era of players. You have social media. You have brand deals, analytics. You have A.J. Brown reading books on the sideline. You have, this is a different world now. It's a different league. It's a different play. By the way, the money is different. Quarterbacks weren't making – Carson Wentz feels like he got signed yesterday. He was making $30 million. It was top of the NFL. Now they're double that. Receivers used to make 5, 8, 7, 9, 10. Now they're making 30, 35 million. There's a lot of different variables here, I think, that, have created a different environment and a different culture in the NFL. And, you got to give Nick a little bit of credit for handling it well and for having success on the team, even with a great roster. Great rosters don't always mean that you're going to be a great team. As great as we do have a good roster, and how we did build a great roster, no doubt about it. But, that's never been a foolproof method in the past and ever in any sport in the history of sports, where you get together a bunch of great guys and you're automatically going to win a title. It doesn't really work like that. Maybe the only modern one I can think of is the Golden State Warriors who ran the table. But other than that, I mean, Nick's done a good job, I think.
We will have Philly 500 on at 4:30, and also former Bears head coach and now a assistant coach with the Los Angeles Chargers, Mark Trestman. He will be on with us at 5:30. No, I completely see where people look at and how Nick handles himself in there. I think he's so much more in a smaller sandbox than a lot of the coaches that you see. Andy has the largest, he's on a beach. He can do whatever he wants to do. And when you got that kind of freedom, man, you can say and do and have players get it. Get this. So when you have Travis Kelce coming up to him on the sideline and bumping him in a Super Bowl, dude, that would go crazy if that was A.J. Brown in Philadelphia. Well, Andy runs that whole thing. By the way, did you join the Philadelphia Book of the Month Club for the wide receivers? You get a chance to read the Book of the Month on and during the divisional round game this weekend, because the wide receivers are not going to be used this weekend. And Nick could join it too. You can join it too, Zander. It's
I
the
am not in the book
Philadelphia
club.
Book of the Month Club. You ready?
Okay, I'm not in the book club. I will not be entering the book club. I will not be ordering Inner Excellence. Okay, I will not be ordering it. But let me just go back to one point before we move on. All right, and something you just said, and I just gave you a lot of positives about Nick Sirianni. All right, maybe too many. I gave you a lot. All right, but I will say, and you just brought up Andy Reid. The one fear I have about the Eagles setup right now is, for all the positives of what we just laid out with the way this staff is set up and the organization is set up, I believe it's a lot harder to have sustained success like Andy Reid is having when you have this many cooks in the kitchen. Because it's one thing to climb, right? And they haven't reached the pinnacle yet, all right? So they're all on this climb together. It's a whole nother beast when you reach the pinnacle, you win the Super Bowl, and then you're at a phase where, how do we maintain excellence? That's a lot harder. Many people will say that's even harder than getting in the climb.
It is.
So with Jeffrey Lurie involved, with Howie involved, with Nick having who knows what kind of say in everything, that would be the one thing where could this be a little bit harder to sustain? Whereas Andy, Andy's in charge. He's managing everything. Him and the GM know exactly who needs to do what. And look, they've sustained a great period of Chiefs football. They're on their way to a potential three-peat that some people are talking about Patrick Mahomes will be the greatest quarterback of all time. If they do, I'm not of that opinion. I'm sorry. I'm not ready to put him above Brady, even with a three-peat. But I would wonder about that element of it.
I'm going to use a line from your favorite coach, Nick Saban.
Okay.
It's wild when you become the mountain. Okay. When you're the mountain, okay, everybody wants to climb it when you're the mountain. And that's what is happening when you're in Kansas City. And when you maintain that, I think it's tougher to maintain being a championship football team than it is. I think what New England did during the salary cap era is freaking something you'll never see ever again. I just don't believe that Kansas City is going to maintain. I think they're going to have a couple more Super Bowls, but still, dude, I still don't think they're going to get to what they did in New England, having 20 years of dominance. And I've made this point to you before we move on again, like you said, every year Brady was in New England for 20 years. They went to the Super Bowl 10 times. You know what that means, right? Every other year they were in the Super Bowl.
Crazy, dude. That's crazy.
Okay?
It's just
every other year they were in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, it's wild. It's completely wild.
You're just
wait. Let me ask you though, because that's I always listen to I have a TV over in my office right there, but and I always keep sports shows on obviously all day, like I think most people who talk about sports for a living do.
Yeah, content.
Content. Just listening to it, seeing what other people are saying. And I was listening to Stephen A. Smith today, and those guys on that ESPN show, which isn't a great show. I do like Stephen A. Smith. I think he's got a weird ability to maintain at the top, which is a hard thing to do, obviously, in this industry. But they were talking about Mahomes with the Super Bowls. And if he three-peats, they were all ready to – everybody on the panel, and I forget the other people's names, sorry, but Stephen A. most notably says he's going to be the GOAT if he three-peats this year. Are you of that opinion that he would be the GOAT? And it would still – I mean, I would dismiss it and say no, but it would be easy to make an argument. Hey, man, this guy's played 8 years in the league. He's already got 4 or whatever it is, 7 years in the league. He would have 4 rings. He would have been to 5 Super Bowls. He'd be a 2 or a 3-time MVP.
3.
I mean,
that'd be 4. Be 4-time MVP.
4-time MVP. I mean, it's a lot.
Okay. Do you really want me to answer this?
Yeah, of course I do.
Okay. Let me make sure I answer it. Let me write it down. Hang on. Let me write it down first. This will be a racially divided commentary because we're in a part of our country right now where race becomes part of a narrative on who's the greatest, who's not the greatest, why people root for certain people, why people root not for certain people, that race will become part of that narrative. So people don't look at resumes anymore or accomplishments. They divide it with racial commentary. And Stephen A. Smith is known for dividing people with racial commentary, as is Jason Whitlock, as is Shannon Sharp, as is anybody. They don't look at things for what they are any longer when it comes to resumes. I can't do an answer like this on normal radio for a reason. I would be fired because of what I just said, that this will be a dividing comment that on who is the GOAT of all GOATs. Dude, 6 beats 4. I don't care who you are.
7.
And I don't care what color you are. 7 beats 4. End of story.
Yeah, I would hope it doesn't get to that. I mean, you're not wrong. The society is certainly at that point, but
it is already.
Yeah, I know. I hate that shit, man. Come on, just like what? Can't we elevate above that as an entire society? Like, come on, man. But I get it. You're probably not wrong.
Wait a minute. We see
about
that
it,
in
but,
Philly.
huh?
We see that in Philly.
Yeah. Look, I want to see great football, man. I'm obviously not dumb. I'm aware that color exists. I'm aware that I'm a white guy and I have different experiences than those who are black. And I understand of all of those things, but I just want to see great football, man. I have never cared. Maybe that's a product of the way I was raised. I was raised that way. I think some people come from different type of backgrounds, different type of households, but it has no impact on my thought process on who's a great football player and who's not.
And it shouldn't.
Yeah, it really should.
We divide dude. You look at the people on my Twitter page saying, because some of the things I said about him throwing for 2903, I'm a racist because I'm being critical of the way he throws the ball. It's got nothing to do with that.
I get it.
He's not utilizing the offensive skill set. So to answer your question, okay, that I don't like answering these anymore because I used to do this. If he wins another Super Bowl, it'll be racially divided. Instead of doing the facts, that 7 beats 4.
I hope not, but you're not wrong. I mean, I think there's an element. There's probably a group of folks who will be in that boat, and there's probably
Stephen A. Smith will be in that boat.
Yeah, definitely. But I would put a group out there. I think of rational human beings, black, white, Asian. It doesn't matter what you are to me. Jewish, Christian, don't care. Either way, I think you can look at this thing and analyze it like a logical regular person. But you're right. Those days are more behind us, Big Sills. But anyway, I'm not ready to give Mahomes the GOAT if he three-peats. I will say I'll be supremely impressed. He's 29 years old. So
absolutely. By the way, it'll be arguably one of the greatest accomplishments of all time if he's able to put 3 Super Bowls in a row. Make no mistake about that.
Yeah.
It'll be one of the absolute greatest accomplishments you'll ever see.
Yeah.
But again, I mean, it's just where we are in our world. Hey, I got a couple questions for you here because I wrote some of the things that I want to see in this game on Sunday, and I want to throw these at you here, okay? By the way, I saw the super chats. We will make sure we read them all. Corinne Williams, fumbles this year. He had 6 of them. Okay, Eric, I appreciate that very much. How much do you think the Rams defense has improved this year? They gave up 37 points and they gave up 314 yards rushing to the Eagles in week 12. How much better do you think you're expecting to see them this Sunday?
There's no doubt they've been better. There's no doubt that they've been better. They're playing more physical. They're playing harder. This is where I give McVay credit, where I don't know what kind of expectations the Rams had coming into this year. They were kind of a team that was a little bit into nothing land last year. Got weird after Aaron Donald retired. You kind of thought maybe their window would be closed. They didn't have all the draft picks. They had that sort of thing going on. And
they had a 5-win season 2 years ago.
I know. Right? And you look at what he's done. So I think I give him a lot of credit as a coach. I think he's 39 years old and he's got these dudes playing for him, lights out. The one thing I like about the Rams roster is they have a great mix of young talent and veteran talent. I think they have a great mix of that. So they're a sneaky team. They're definitely a sneaky team, and defensively they've gotten good. I just don't know what they can like when you have an offensive line like the Eagles, okay, and you're going up against that offensive line, and you simply don't match up physically. What can you do as a defense other than stack in the box with eight people, or even what?
gamble. You have to gamble.
Right. You're gambling.
Blitzing.
And I don't know if that's going to work out. I really don't.
I don't either.
Jalen does have the ability, one, to pull the ball and run himself. And if they commit too hard to stopping Saquon, that's always in the bag of tricks. And the other thing is, Jalen might have to hit a one-on-one with A.J. Brown. And he's shown he can do that. He's done that many times this year. He's done it many times in the past. There's the ability certainly lives within him. Obviously, they've scaled away from that a little bit in recent weeks. They haven't asked him to do it much, but I think you got to take that advantage if you got to take that opportunity if it comes, and I think it will come in this game. Look, if you're the Rams, all right, let's ask everybody this question in the chat. If you're the Rams, what would be your game plan defensively? Okay, you know that you have a great pass rushing defensive line that's quick, speedy, gets to the quarterback, but you also know you're going up against a team where you're not going to have that opportunity. You sacked Sam Darnold 9 times. Sam Darnold dropped back to throw 40-plus times in that game. Jalen Hurts is not going to drop back 40-plus times. You'll be lucky if Jalen Hurts drops back to throw 25 times. So what's your plan defensively? I don't even know how to answer it outside of basically hope that somehow, some way, the offensive line that's been so consistent and so good for the better part of a decade doesn't have a great game. Outside of that, I don't know what else to say to stop the team defensively. I really don't.
You just have to stop the run.
Stop the run.
Like you said, I just don't. I want to see it. I don't believe it.
I'm with Rashawn. Look at Rashawn. He says prayer.
Hey,
seriously,
I don't believe it. You know how I tell everybody I want to see Hurts do it? I just don't believe it. I don't believe the Rams, as good as some of those young talented guys are, I just don't believe that you're going to go against one of the top units. Dude, get this. The Eagle O-line is not just one of the top units in the game this year. They're one of the top units of all time. We're not talking about just a fucking normal O-line 1 year. This is one of the best units the last decade. It's a different world here, man. I mean, I don't know. I don't believe it. How about this one on Stafford? I think Stafford's been brilliant last 8 games, 13 touchdowns, 1 pick. He's going to be better, Zander, than week 12. He's going to be better because you know why? They've got more versatility than what the Eagle offense. Remember what I said earlier about the Eagle offense? The Eagle offense is very vanilla, but here, okay, then stop it. So the question is, nobody has stopped it. They don't have to be.
I smell a little belief coming out of there. Coming out of the Stelio Studios.
No, because I think that Stafford is one of the most skilled throwers in the game.
Oh, he is.
And that he's able to adjust and adapt because he's got that skill set. Now, do I think that's enough? No. But they're going to have to schematically do something different to the Eagles. And I'm going to tell you that the Kobe Dean injury is going to play a factor in that middle of that zone. Do you bring the safeties down more instead of playing them 15 or 20 back? Do you bring them up closer? Because remember what happened in that Week 12 game? Slay went out. Bam, went right after Isaiah Rodgers.
Right.
And he spots that shit quick. And so does the play caller. Dylan, remember what Vic said this week? McVay has the propensity to do this. Whatever he's doing, he'll change it up. If he sees something, he's like a shiny lure in a pond. He'll get off that bait, go over to something else, and he'll hit that. That's how good a play caller he is. So I think the injury to Kobe Dean is something to keep an eye on. Do you also think that?
Absolutely. There's no doubt about that. I mean, if you're a smart play caller and you have I really fear with the Lions because they have the perfect personnel to attack that weakness on the Eagles defense. The Rams are a great play caller and great coach, and a great quarterback, but I don't necessarily know if they have the right guy to really exploit that all game. Maybe Kyron Williams makes a play or two, but he's not really a big guy that catches out of the backfield a lot. So, by the way, real quick, just a comment on this, and because you just kind of laid out some of what Matthew Stafford does really well. How good was the breakdown that Jay Gruden gave yesterday about why you see certain quarterbacks excel early in careers versus not so much? And when you look at a dual threat and the way they're able to almost learn the game at a more rapid speed because they can rely on legs if they don't understand yet how to read coverages or they haven't picked up yet reading defenses and processing and pre-snap and post-snap. I thought that was amazing. And if you look at it, it's true. Look at all the quarterbacks who've had the best rookie seasons in recent memory. I mean, it's all people that can scramble and move and create plays, you know, on the in the outside.
Why do you think it's taken a little bit longer for Lamar to develop a passing game? You know why? Because of what Jay said. Hey, if it's not there, I'm gonna run.
Right.
When you're a pocket passer, you have to sit back and learn the nuance of reading because you don't have that skill set. Like Tanner McKee is never going to be confused for Jalen Hurts or Lamar Jackson. So what is his number one thing he has to do? He has to study more. He has to see the game better from the pocket. These dual threat guys are able to carry teams earlier, and I think it works this way, Zander. I think they catch up with those guys later because of the lack of – don't we agree with Jalen? I think they've caught up more with Jalen's passing abilities now from the first time in 22 because you know why? He's still learning how to read defenses. Shit, man, this is the first year he's learned how to set protections. I mean, those other guys have been setting protections since they were in high school.
Yeah, I almost feel like that was a disservice to Jalen.
It is a disservice.
Maybe even forget Jalen. Maybe even the whole offense. You know?
Yes.
Yeah, probably even the whole offense. So, also, can I make all right, I'm going to say something on this show, all right? And a lot of people might get really upset with me, all right? Really upset. Maybe, maybe not, but I want to get your opinion on it, all right? Because it's something I was thinking about. All right? Everybody, I love the player I'm about to talk about. Don't get too mad at me, all right? I'm just simply asking the question, okay? Is it possible that Jason Kelce was overrated as a Philadelphia Eagle?
No. No. He just got old on you. He just got old. No. And how about this?
It's the best O-line I've ever seen in my life.
Okay. Here's what I will say, though. Kelce's played with great players on each side of him his entire career. And I think he's had the best offensive line coach. I think Jason Kelce, his best years were 3 years ago, 4 years ago, maybe even. I think his savant of the game and reading and seeing where blitzes are coming from, I think he's really good. But I will make the point to you that there's no doubt Cam Jurgens has been an upgrade, a massive upgrade over him.
So it's probably more the benefit of, look, everybody's ripping that off. I knew I was going to get ripped. Look, the only reason I said it is because if you have a Hall of Fame center and you lose them, like there's got to be some level of regression, and I really don't feel like that exists. But you're probably right that it was more that Jason got older. Look at all the people. Give me somebody good gas. You're smoking. A-Team is with me. He says Jurgens is better than Kelce. Holy shit. Mr. International crossing the line, Big Z. Hey, Mr. International, sometimes you got to say what's on your mind, brother.
Well, I'll ask you this. Jason Peters, do you think Malott is better than Peters? I don't.
I think Malott has a higher ceiling. I think Malott has a higher ceiling.
Okay. I mean,
you don't think Malott has a higher ceiling? I guess it's hard to say that about a guy.
Jason Peters is a 10-time Pro Bowler.
Yeah. How old is he? He's still in the league.
He's still in the league. They beg him to – hey, one thing when you're the GOAT and you're 41, 42 and they're begging you to play, I wish to God that happened to me, that they were begging me to play. Please come at it. Look at this thing here. Zander puffing and not passing. Dude.
Oh, shit. Y'all
do you think kickers will be a factor in this game, or do you think the Eagles are going to be so far ahead?
There's going to be kickers are going to be a factor in this game. Don't kid yourself. Our guy missed the point after last week. It's supposed to either rain or snow. It keeps going back and forth. Right now, it looks like it might be snow. I think I'd almost rather rain because I think that would really throw Stafford off his game a little bit more. Let me check the weather right now, what it says Sunday in Philly. Yeah, right now it's showing snow, okay? So snow with a low of 25.
Hey.
All right.
Hey, Zander, wait a minute. So you got the Rams going across the country 3,000 miles. They're coming off a short work week because they had to work on Monday, and you're going to play in the snow, and you're a dome team. Good luck.
Yeah, they're tired.
Hey, good luck. Hey,
They're
you
good.
win that game.
I don't see it with the Rams. I don't see it with this Rams team, man. I'm way more confident about this game than I was about the Packers game. Way more.
Do you think it's a three-quarter game though? Beginning of the third, it's 7 points, and then they pull away late, or do you think they're blowing them out right away?
I don't think they're blowing them out because I don't think the Eagles play a style of football that's conducive to a first half blowout.
See, I'm seeing 24-7 kind of game, 24-10.
Yeah, I see that. I see that. I can see that. I think the Rams are good for a couple more points than that, though. I don't think they're going to hold them to 7. Stafford in the playoff. You hold Stafford. I'll say this: if you hold Stafford and McVay to 7 in the postseason, we're beating Detroit. If our defense holds Stafford and McVay to 7 points this weekend, we're beating Detroit. Mark my fucking words. If we hold this team to 7,
I'm writing that down.
Detroit.
All right.
We will beat Detroit. Now, if we give up
last one before we read the supers here. Last one before do you think Jaden Daniels in Washington? Hey, by the way, man, Jake Gruden yesterday gave them a puncher's shot at getting up to Detroit and winning that football game.
Yeah, he did.
You think Washington has a shot going up there to Detroit and winning that ball game?
I do. I think Detroit's the heavy favorite, and they should be. If you forced me to pick, or I was a betting man, I would take the Detroit Lions. But when you look at it and you zoom out a little bit and you understand what kind of player Jaden Daniels has been, when you see what kind of camaraderie that team is building, it obviously galvanizes a locker room to go from 3 wins to what they have done this year. I think they're playing right now. They're red hot. They're coming off a big win last week in a game that nobody thought them to win last weekend on the road. I think in a way they've become fearless and they have nothing to lose because there was no expectation for them to come this far. I think that's a sleeper game. And by the way, there's something I want to give you credit for because people say you're wrong on this, okay? One of the things that you predicted at the start of the year was that the Washington Commanders would win the NFC East. And you are wrong about them winning the NFC East, obviously, because the Eagles did. But you are 100% right in that take, in that nobody else saw this from the Commanders. You did. You said that team is going to turn around this football season, and you said it in a different way. You said it in a way that they're going to win the NFC East. The Eagles bounced back better than we thought they would. But you were spot on with the Commanders this year, saying they were going to be a good football team. They were going to be a playoff football team. And I think you deserve a little bit of credit for that because not many people saw that coming, Sills.
Coaching. They got coaching in the building, and they got smart people. And
and quarterback, Sills.
I believed in Jaden Daniels. You know what?
Yes, you did.
Can I tell you why I believed that the Commanders were going to be this good this year? Remember when we got the first time on, we got Herm Edwards. And Herm Edwards was talking about Jaden Daniels when he was at Arizona State. And he said, listen, he's Randall Cunningham just in the modern day right now. And you're going to really be shocked on how well he plays. And I took it from him because you know why? He's a guy I respect. And I said, they're going to have a great year this year. Now, I'll make this point to you. I think he is the rookie of the year. But, boy, I'll tell you, that guy in Las Vegas, you want to talk about offensive rookie of the year. You want to go Brock Bowers or you want to go Jaden Daniels, man? Probably going to go Daniels because he's the quarterback and they won 13 ball games.
Yeah,
but that's not that much. That kid in Las Vegas, man, is the best tight end in the game right now.
That kid's
I can't
crazy.
believe how good he is. He's got Kevin O'Connell or Aiden O'Connell throwing the ball to him. He had 100 catches out there. Let's do the supers before Philly 500 comes on.
Yep, no doubt about it. Good comments, everybody, today. Appreciate all you guys, man.
Please hit the like button, guys.
Remember, everybody, all right, we're all human beings. We all bleed. We all shit. We all do the same stuff. All right, everybody. Here we go. Abe says, if we keep them to 7, are we today's era's gangrene? Well, we got to go.
Yes.
I don't know.
No. How about this, Abe? Abe, to me, for you guys to be better than Gabe. Abe, if you win the Super Bowl, you'll be better than Gangrene.
Well, you know what? Gangrene never won a Super Bowl, obviously. Nope. But if this defense can hold that Lions team and make them look where this is one of the best. Then
hold Mahomes.
Right. This Lions team, though, they're historically one of the best offenses.
No, I think they're the greatest. They're as good as the greatest show on turf with Kurt Warner's guys. But here, this is what you're going to do. You're going to go through Stafford, Goff, and Mahomes. I don't care what you tell me about gangrene. You're the number one defense in the NFL, and you win the Super Bowl, and you went through that trifecta of quarterbacks. It's the greatest defense you've ever had in your organization.
Impressive. All right, let's
Completely
keep going
impressive.
here. Brian Pumper. I'll tell you what, though. Media is pushing the Rams heavy and cooking the Eagles because of Hurts. The Eagles locker room will be motivated. 37-17 Rams.
Pump never ceases to amaze. They are pumped. Hey, by the way.
He got us in the first half. But then he
Hey, Pump, you know what I can't understand? So I'm sitting there listening to ESPN and everybody on Monday night trying to tell me how great that the Rams are playing for everyone in Los Angeles for the wildfires. And yet how come every single home game, like when the Eagles home game, the Rams have to go to silent count because they don't have any fans in the building. And they're playing for the LA people. Give me a break, man. What a
everybody,
narrative that thing
quick
is.
plug. We got the night show tonight, This Week in Pro Football tonight with Pat Callahan. We'll have Sal Palantonio on. Who else do we have on that show tonight? I think we have a pretty good lineup again, per usual. We have Tim McManus. So he wrote the big ESPN story today about Nick Sirianni. That should be pretty good. And then Greg Beacham. But he's a Ram fan, everybody. So give him hell in the chat, all right? Give him hell in the chat. He's a Ram fan. So he'll be doing This Week in Pro Football.
Thank you,
talking
Paul.
to Sal about the Eagles, but he's a Ram fan. So give him hell in the chat. Here we go. Nosty Beats. Nothing screams Philadelphia like level-headed and emotionally stable, LOL. He's our guy 100%. Boy, if that ain't the fucking truth.
I'll tell you what, man, that is absolutely a great take here. By the way, I want to make sure everyone understands something here. Ray Didinger sent me a email and said that he will love to come on the program anytime I want. I'm going to read it to you here. Nice to hear from you. I currently tied up right now with Tommy and Me, which is running at the People's Light Theater. And he said, we just finished our first
part of that.
First week. And he goes like this, we're doing 7 performances. He says, once that settles down, I will love to come on your program anytime. Just let me know, but let me get through this play. So he's doing that play right now, but Ray has committed to come on the program. So we're going to get Ray Didinger on real soon.
Yeah, Ray Didinger is awesome, man. He's epic. Really, really great football mind.
I thought everybody hates the Big Sill Show. Man. What's going on here, man? How come all the big legendary guys in Philly want to come on?
This is the Eagles.
Holy cow.
This is written by Ray Didinger.
Yep, I know. Yeah. I absolutely know that.
So for any Eagle fan, this is a great gift right here. Actually, maybe I should order some of these and ask Ray to sign them for us and give them away, because these are really dope books. Like, for a guy who just got into media, and obviously I'm a younger fan, so I don't know all the history of the game, and I've been reading some of this like as much as I can. Really awesome.
Hey Tony, I don't know. I think you should probably ask your mom. Go ahead, man. If we have any more super chats there.
Yeah, we got a couple more.
Ask your mom.
All right, now we had Lucetta. Oh, we got Devontae here. Devontae, what's up, my guy? Stills and Big Z. I know you see Mahomes getting back to another bowl, but something tells me Lamar is going to beat him this year. Devontae, I got a better take. I told Cilio a couple weeks ago I didn't think Josh Allen had 4 games in him. I'm picking Bills out of the AFC.
Woo!
I like Josh Allen. Josh Allen's my MVP this year. I think Josh Allen. I understand Mahomes has all the accolades. I think right here, right now, Josh Allen's the best football player on the planet.
Could you imagine Bills Mafia and the Eagles fan base at the Super Bowl in fucking New Orleans with all that going on down there during Mardi Gras down there for the Bills Mafia? And you couldn't get a better group of fan bases for a Super Bowl than those two together. Oh my God, that would be epic.
That would be unbelievable.
It would be epic.
That would be so good. Bills and Eagles. Oh my God. That would be a nightmare PR campaign that the NFL would have to run to try and make sure everything goes good.
You better bring a lot of security for that one, bro.
Oh, I missed this. This was a good comment that we missed as I was showing my book off. Diva Brown's going to read the book during the Rams game. Philly 500 Nation checking in. There he is, Clark. 500 will be on soon. I love
You
Philly
bet he
500.
will. You bet he will. Did we get them all, Zander?
Yeah, we got all the supers.
Oh, good, man. Hey, man, last couple segments. By the way, I want to give you some kudos here. Before I thought I was listening to like the Golden Men before when you had Jody on the program. Now you bring a lot of youth to it. I hear John dropping more F-bombs than I do now. I mean, I don't know what you've done. You have become a cancer to John in the F-bomb world. I mean, he is just
I've unlocked it because, I've obviously worked with John a lot longer than I've been on the air with him. I've worked with John now for 5 years. John off when he's off script he is an F-bomb savant. Okay. Every time you talk to John, it's fucking this, fucking that, fuck that. He never stops. So I've kind of brought it out of him on the air, and he's not used to doing that. But no, I love working with John, and it's definitely a different feel to the show, since Jody left. But
younger.
Obviously, I love Jody and everything, but I love where the show's at, man. By the way, the numbers are dictating that the show is doing really well. This is our best season ever for Birds 365, obviously, and you maybe thought that you moved Jody off, and those numbers might go down a little bit, but to have the best numbers we've had, the most podcast downloads, I'm pumped with where it is, and that's all thanks to the people, man. Like you always say to them, I could talk into a void all I want. The people show up, they like the show, they comment on the show, they drop super chats, they become members, they engage in our giveaways, they do everything. So the people are really fueling it, but it is a fun show, and it's definitely got a different feel, but a good feel. One that I feel is good and is in the right direction and has some staying power. Big Sills.
One makes me want to take a shot of whiskey, and the other one makes me want to take a shot of Geritol. Just saying. I love you, brother.
What the fuck does that mean?
Old people take Geritol, dude.
Yeah, so John makes you want to take Geritol?
Your show makes me want to take a great shot of whiskey.
Oh,
man.
Okay, I got you. I thought you were talking about me and John.
The other shows like the Geritol show, you should have a sponsor. Get Big Joe on the Geritol. No, he's gone anyway. Zander, great stuff, bro. We'll see you tomorrow, man.
All right, brother. I appreciate you, man. Listen, this is our game.
By 20, you said.
You know it. I know it. Everybody in the chat knows it. Don't get scared now. Don't flinch now. This is the Philadelphia Eagles game. We're heading back to the NFC title game if we just handle some business this weekend, throw out the trash, move them little defensive tackles out of the way, get your 180 yards for Saquon Barkley. I'll see you guys in the title game. Thanks, everybody. Love you all.
You got it, Zander. I appreciate it, my good friend. Don't forget Philly 500's right around the corner. Don't forget our friends also at BetUS. We have teamed up with our friends at BetUS for the YouTube 150. Great time of the year right now. This is our business partner during this time. And if you want to make some bets, BetUS is your place to go. Sign-up bonuses up to $2K. Second and third are 125%. If you're into crypto, up to 200% to that $2K. It's the home of Michael Vick. Go to betus.com.pa. That's betus.com.pa. Fastest payouts in the business, 24/7. Personalized service, 365 days of the year. Go to betus.com.pa. That's betus.com.pa. And do me a favor, tell them Big Sil sent you.
If you missed any of today's show on the JAKIB Media channel, listen to the podcast on your way home. Available on YouTube, Apple, and Spotify.
Ignite your night.